Kaufman is a live YouTube channel. I look at comic books new and old. Today I'm looking at an old comic book, Secret Wars 2, number 1 by Marvel Comics. This came out in July of 1985. Obviously, it's the follow-up to the original Secret Wars series. Jim Shooter is the scripter and plotter on this issue. Al Milgrom is the artist. The cover is by John Byrne and Terry Austin. So pretty awesome combination on the cover here. I love this cover. I've always loved this cover. Honestly, it's the best thing about this book. I found this book in a dollar bin when I was like 14 years old, maybe. I thought I found something like really special, Secret Wars 2 number 1, but actually this isn't really that big of a find because this book is kind of a bust. This whole series was kind of a big letdown, essentially, being the follow-up to the original Secret Wars. It certainly didn't quite live up to the original Secret Wars in most people's opinion, but we'll go through it today and you can decide if it does. I'll give you my opinion at the end of this. I love this corner panel though. This is something I used to like draw all the time. Just this like shadowy figure with like some power pulsing around him. Awesome looking corner panel, really great looking cover, great logo. It's a great start to this book. And we start off in outer space here, just kind of refreshing us on who the Beyonder is. He's looking just for a particular galaxy, it says, and then he finds a certain planet. This issue is called Earthfall here. Steve Leialoha is the inker. We got Joe Rosen is the letterer, and Christy Scheel is the colorist. So the Beyonder, who eventually at the end of the original Secret Wars usurped the power back from Doom, and so here he is landing down here on Earth. Now I think this is the character that is the Molecule Man, and he's living with this girl who also has like these flame powers, and the Beyonder touches down and they kind of have like a basically like a tripped out experience. They're just like watching TV, but then all these like giant earth pods start flying by with like trees and everything. They're trying to figure out what's going on. The Molecule Man's like using his powers here to, you know, try and fix what's going on here. And he sees this figure that's kind of controlling everything. And he goes, "It can't be him." And he says, "Up there, that's him. There he is. The Beyonder." And then we switch to Professor Xavier, who's having like a mental aneurysm here, seeing the Beyonder. The New Mutants come running. There's Legion down here making a little cameo appearance. Xavier's just hoping that it was just like a weird dream and not really the Beyonder, but he lets Captain America know that the Beyonder's here. Captain America's just on this plane, so he like informs this pilot of what's going on with the Beyonder so that the readers also kind of get a refresher of what happened in the original Secret Wars here. He's trying to get this pilot to divert the plane so Captain America can touch down and, you know, try and find the Beyonder here. So we switch back to Molecule Man here, and the Beyonder is making himself at home, and he's using like all the images of all the heroes that he fought in the original Secret Wars here to kind of like create his look. And this is actually something else that I kind of really liked about this issue was this Beyonder costume, the original Beyonder costume. But the Molecule Man's trying to, you know, tell him how things work here on Earth. And he tells him he might want to change up his look because it looks a little strange. So the Beyonder teleports away and as we find out a little later, he actually takes the Molecule Man's appearance. So then we've got Magneto here, who's just become the leader of the X-Men. And some of the other X-Men don't really trust him at all. They think the Beyonder returning is something of Magneto's doing. And Magneto's trying to reason with Logan, Wolverine here, saying that, Wolverine stood up for Magneto back on Battle World, so, he needs to trust him here, basically. There's some really silly stuff in this comic book. Like, we've got Magneto here. He takes the X-Men, instead of using an X-Jet or just, like, teleporting them himself in, like, a giant force field, he puts them all in this car because, he can magnetically control the metal. So he's using the car to fly them all the way to Hollywood here. It's just really goofy that he would do it that way. We see this writer here. He's like an NBC writer. And I feel like all this dialogue here, there's just like a vomit of dialogue all through this book, really, by Jim Shooter. I feel like he's really indulging himself here, and he's kind of talking about how he's got to this character's talking about he's got to rewrite scripts, and he doesn't like having to do that. Which with this issue, Secret Wars #2 is pretty funny because recently on the Robservations podcast by Rob Liefeld, he talked about how this issue of Secret Wars Secret Wars 2 #1 was actually originally drawn by Sal Buscema, and Jim Shooter did not like his work on that book for whatever reason, and so he got Al Milgrom to redraw this entire book. And I kind of feel like this character here is somehow Jim Shooter's like self-insert, talking about some of the editorial processes going on here. He's using a TV studio, but I think he's actually kind of talking about Marvel Comics. So the Beyonder shows up here at this guy's place randomly and gives him this power. And he becomes Thunder Sword. So he's kind of like the avatar for the Beyonder at this point. And Magneto has asked Rachel Summers to try and see if she can psychically pick up the Beyonder anywhere on Earth so that they can go find him. And she picks up this guy, Thunder Sword, thinking it's the Beyonder. So the X-Men all attack him thinking they're attacking the Beyonder. He trashes their crappy little car here. There's a McDonald's product placement. I like Cannonball here. He's one of my favorite X-Force New Mutant characters for sure. But they're fighting this Thunder Sword guy, and Iron Man decides that he needs to jump into this fight as well. Captain America shows up. He's trying to save some people. Thunder Sword says, so it's the famous Captain America. He's come to defend the corrupt institutions he represents. We get just some more battle here between these guys, and then Rachel Summers feels another psychic connection, a stronger one, and she comes upon the actual Beyonder here, who was invisible until she, walked right up onto him here. And then the Beyonder reaches into Magic's chest, one of the New Mutants here, Illyana, Colossus's sister, and turns her into the demon that was always inside of her, is what the narration says. And there's, like I said, Jim Shooter's just going absolutely crazy with all the dialogue, all the narration. Listen to this narration for Wolverine here. He's like, Wolverine's cold gaze fixes upon the slight figure, now standing alone. Despite his frail appearance, to the X-Man's keen senses, there is a palpable aura of power surrounding him. And something in his gut tells Wolverine that this is the true enemy. I mean, it's just really ridiculous writing here. But, it's, I don't know. I don't really like it. It's a little too much. But Wolverine sees the Beyonder here. He starts slicing at him. And then Lila Shanae, who's here, she teleports all of the X-Men away. So this Thunder Sword goof tries to get at Captain America, but Captain America blocks him. But he does take him down, and he goes, this is kind of ridiculous. He goes, no matter, he's hurt. And now for a coup de grace. You're a Republican, aren't you? Well, now there'll be one fewer. But then Iron Man shows up to try and help Cap. And Thundersword loses his power here. He's like, oh no, I turned back into the plain old Stuart Caldwell. Dig that. Without the sword, he's just a garden variety chump, says Iron Man. So Captain America wants to try and talk to this dude to see if he's actually the Beyonder. Kind of not realizing the Beyonder's actually like right here. The Beyonder's just looking for experience. He says learning's the best teacher here. This character of the Beyonder in this issue specifically, it reminds me of Apocalypse in the X-Men Apocalypse movie, where he's just like trying to learn everything about humanity and then take it over. That's like exactly what we've got here with the Beyonder. So in a lot of ways, how that movie kind of didn't work, this issue does not really work too well. Although when you kind of get into the minutia of the battle here, it's a pretty exciting battle, I would say. But then we just get this vomit of dialogue here at the end. Basically just like Iron Man and Captain America saying, well, we beat the Beyonder, but he's gone and he's probably going to show up again. And then we get the final panel of Captain America not realizing the Beyonder's just right behind him, invisible, but still following him. So just a goofy issue. Not what you would expect, kind of being the follow-up to Secret Wars #2. But it's what we got. And if you ever find this, I wouldn't pay more than $1 for it. Because like I said, I paid $1 for it like 30 years ago. So thanks again for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't yet. If you like videos like this, please like the video. And I will see you guys again on the next one.